The Sopranos is one of the most well-loved and critically acclaimed shows in the history of television. It is constantly praised for its writing, characters, and acting. James Gandolfini's performance as Tony Soprano should be looked at as the standard for lead character performances. He was truly a spectacular actor, and may he rest in peace. The Sopranos began its time on the air in 1999 and aired all the way through 2007, and was created by David Chase. It was originally intended to be a film centered around a mobster going to therapy because of issues with his mother, but eventually became the fantastic crime drama that we all know and love today. And thank goodness we got what we got, because this show changed television forever. While it wasn't the first show to push the boundaries of what TV could be, it was the first show to break the rules and become as huge as it became. In almost every single category one could look at, this show elevated TV to a level that at the time, it seemed only film was at. Television was looked down on in comparison to film, and that was because of the lack of quality performances and writing, besides some other key shows that helped pave the way as well. I've heard stories of actors who refused to take roles in television shows because they felt like that's where careers go to die. But that was all about to change. The Sopranos was able to tie the elements together better than anything else on TV, and the character of Tony Soprano paved the way for some of the most popular characters that came later. Tony was one of the first bad guy anti-hero characters that was the leading character, a character the audience rooted for despite him being a criminal, mobster, and a cheat. Without Tony Soprano, we wouldn't have characters like Walter White, Tommy Shelby, Dexter Morgan, any of them. Tony was great and popularized a whole genre where it was okay to have a bad guy as the main character. Even when Tony and his crew's acts got more and more reprehensible as the show went on, we continued to root for them. Each character had multiple layers and problems and their own addictions and failures, and they weren't just caricatures of a classic wise guy that you'd see on TV beforehand. These were flawed and complicated people. The scene where Tony killed the informant when he was bringing Meadow around to colleges was one of the first times a leading man in a series murdered someone in cold blood, especially so early on. Traditionally, other leads or action heroes would kill bad guys and it would be all heroic. HBO originally wanted to pull that episode because they felt like having Tony kill someone like that so early on would make him hated by the audience. However, the opposite happened. Following David Chase forcing HBO to bend the knee and air the episode, fans loved it. The ratings soared and the modern TV leading anti-hero was born, and he was complicated, lovable, horrible, and a murderer. This type of thing happened again when the episode where Tony, Polly, and Sil kill Puss. HBO was very nervous. However, The Sopranos was able to make this work because not every issue was so black and white. It felt real, and despite Tony being an exceptionally terrible father, husband, son, person, they also gave us reasons as to why he acted the way he acted, and it set a new standard for the writing for future television. Every single character, whether they were a mobster or not, were given arcs that could span seasons on end, or the entire series unresolved, because just like real life, not every problem gets wrapped up in a cute little bow, which honestly allows for more dynamic and better thought through storylines that can't truly be explored in film. We're able to see the de-evolution and evolution of characters over the course of seasons and seasons, and the respect this show had for its characters and audience allowed for the superb writing of the show to shine through. Without holding your hand, many other shows at the time were much less serialized and focused more on one episode conclusions. This helped the show feel much more realistic and well written, and this was helped by even much smaller things like the use of real music. While the majority of TV at the time used its own music or soundtrack, The Sopranos used mainstream music ranging all the way from Britney Spears to Pink Floyd, as well as the use of HD, which really gave The Sopranos that realistic lived-in world and that cinematic look that was new for TV. The show was much less about trying to play into what traditionally worked for television, and instead, David Chase basically made mini movies for episodes. It didn't follow the same played-out formula that worked for everything else on at the time, and the cinematography and writing made it stand out and costed HBO a ton of money. They had faith and invested a ton of money to make this series work the way it did, and it was worth it, as it was the first show in history to play at the New York Museum of Art. Not only was it the first TV show in history to do that, but to a lesser extent it also helped in the popularization of the television subscription market. While nowadays you have your Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and Hulu, The Sopranos was such a big hit that it had tons of people clamoring to go and pay their money for HBO, which in 2024 is the oldest television subscription service still around. And I say this because while you had shows like Oz, The Sopranos was truly responsible for the big boom HBO had, and this showed other people the money in the subscription thing. Whether this was a good influence or not is left up to the individual. It definitely helped nudge the market along in the direction it's been going in for a while. As I mentioned slightly previously, The Sopranos in a way legitimized prestige television and brought it to the forefront in ways like shows like Twin Peaks or Oz weren't able to do in the same way. All of these factors, between the cinematography, the writing, the unbelievably talented cast and crew, and the beginning of the television criminal anti-hero, all worked together in unison to change the way television was made, consumed, and viewed as a source of entertainment. And without it, we wouldn't have anywhere near the amount of quality series we have now, and I wouldn't be making these kinds of videos that I really enjoy making on YouTube. So thank you HBO, James Gandolfini, and David Chase for making history. Thank you for watching this video. It means a lot that you take the time out of your day to watch me blab on about the things I enjoy. And thank you to everyone for these incredible 2 months on YouTube. I have some great stuff coming out in the new year that you will not want to miss. I'll catch you guys next time and have a fantastic rest of your day. But a bit of a side note, I've started kind of a second channel, podcasting kind of channel. I've done this because I want to talk about Dexter Original Sin as it's happening. I don't want to go individually through episodes here on this channel. It's not the kind of content that this channel is going to be producing. So if you want that, go over there. I'll see you guys next time for real.